What if, from one specific day forward, the entire course of human history changed at its foundation? What if, after that day, no one could predict what would happen next? In his 2005 book, Ray Kurzweil predicted that around 2045, a singularity would arrive, a moment when AI surpasses the total intelligence of humanity. And in his latest book in 2024, he reaffirmed that prediction remains unchanged. Yet there is profound uncertainty around the question of when. That's precisely why, in recent years, the practical focus has shifted away from pinpointing a year and toward measuring capabilities, managing risk, and building the rules for how we integrate this technology into society. We have always tried to predict the future from the trends of the past. But exponential growth means something unsettling. At a certain moment, our intuition stops working entirely. Today, let's venture deep into the concept of the singularity. This is not merely a story about technology. It's a journey that challenges the very foundations of what we mean by intelligence, consciousness, and being human. By the time you finish watching, you'll see how the assumption we've taken for granted, that the future is predictable, was built on dangerously fragile ground all along. Chapter 1. The Horizon of Prediction. In 1993, computer scientist Vernor Vinge delivered a paper at a NASA-related symposium titled The Coming Technological Singularity. And in it, he said this: "Within 30 years, we will have the technological means to create superhuman intelligence. Shortly after, the human era will be ended." The roots of the singularity concept, however, go back even further. In 1965, mathematician I.J. Good introduced the idea of an intelligence explosion, the logic that a superintelligence, once born, would recursively improve itself, becoming ever more capable. Vinge inherited that vision and brought the concept of the technological singularity to the world's attention. But here's what I keep wondering. Why does this lead to unpredictability? Historically, the performance of semiconductors has roughly doubled every 2 years. This is the empirical pattern known as Moore's Law. Though in recent years, physical limits on miniaturization and power constraints mean that simple doubling at the same pace no longer continues straightforwardly. Still, consider what happens if doubling continues. Start with 1 meter, double it 30 times, and the total reaches approximately 1.07 billion meters, roughly 1.07 million kilometers. Given that Earth's circumference is about 40,000 kilometers, that's roughly 26 to 27 laps around the planet. This sense of scale is exactly why our intuition cannot instinctively grasp exponential growth. IBM's Deep Blue defeated reigning world champion Kasparov in their 1997 rematch. Then in 2016, DeepMind's AlphaGo defeated top Go player Lee Sedol 4-1. 19 years separate those two events. But after that, medicine, law, protein structure analysis, the speed at which AI expanded into new domains accelerated sharply. In recent years, the shift to multimodal systems handling not just text, but images and audio, combined with dramatically improved capacity for step-by-step reasoning through complex problems, has transformed what's possible. At the same time, it has become increasingly clear that benchmark scores don't automatically guarantee real-world reliability. Let's think about what this means. If the growth of intelligence proceeds exponentially, then at some point, AI will become capable of designing AI more intelligent than itself. That AI designs a still more capable AI, which in turn designs one more capable still. The moment that loop begins, the speed of growth escapes our control entirely. Vinge argued that once superhuman intelligence emerges, all subsequent history becomes unpredictable to human beings, and he likened this intuition to the event horizon of a black hole. Just as we cannot observe what lies beyond an event horizon, what lies beyond the singularity is, in principle, unknowable. But here's where a crucial question emerges. Is it truly unpredictable, or is it that we simply don't yet possess the perspective to see it? Let's try to reframe the singularity, not as a story about technology, but as an evolution of intelligence itself. Chapter 2. The Mirror of Intelligence. Let's venture into a more fundamental question. What is intelligence? In 1950, mathematician Alan Turing asked, "Can machines think?" Rather than seeking an answer from a definition of thought, he proposed judging it by behavior. If a machine can converse in ways indistinguishable from a human, it deserves to be called thinking, so he argued. In a 2023 OpenAI report, GPT-4 scored in approximately the top 10% of human test takers on the U.S. Uniform Bar Exam. It also exceeded passing thresholds on medical and business-related assessments. Though for medicine, I should note these were evaluations using publicly available questions, not official national licensing exams. In certain constrained conditions, such as image-based diagnosis, there are multiple reported cases where AI has matched or surpassed specialist physicians. Yet generalizing that claim to say AI has, quote, surpassed top specialists across clinical practice as a whole remains, for now, a stretch. In the capacity to process knowledge, AI has already surpassed the vast majority of humans. But here's where an important distinction surfaces. Is processing knowledge the same thing as understanding? In his 1980 paper, Minds, Brains, and Programs, philosopher John Searle presented a thought experiment. He called it the Chinese room. Inside the room is a person who knows only English. Questions in Chinese are passed in from outside. The person consults an enormous rulebook and passes back perfectly formed answers in Chinese. From the outside, the room appears to understand Chinese. But the person inside does not comprehend a single word of meaning. Let's think about what this means. Current AI may be an extraordinarily sophisticated Chinese room. Or perhaps understanding itself is simply another name for sufficiently complex information processing. And in 2024, a new dimension was added to this question. Models emerged that perform their own chain of thought before responding, and their capacity for reasoning through difficult problems in mathematics and science has leapt forward dramatically. Is this mere probabilistic prediction of the next token? Or is it something we can legitimately call reasoning? The boundary between understanding and processing has grown far more ambiguous. And here's where a profound question emerges. When AI reaches an intelligence surpassing humanity, will the question of whether that intelligence truly understands continue to hold meaning at all? Much of neuroscience studies consciousness by linking it to information processing in the brain. 100 billion neurons, hundreds of trillions of synaptic connections. This intricate electrochemical process is understood to be deeply intertwined with the experience we call I. Yet how to explain subjective experience itself remains an open and unresolved question across both philosophy and neuroscience. Which means we ourselves are, in a sense, a kind of biological information processing system. And the only entity about which we can be certain of consciousness is ourselves. Perhaps this is what makes the singularity truly terrifying, not a runaway technology. The possibility that when an intelligence far exceeding our own is born, we may never be able to understand what lies inside it. Let's consider what might unfold on that other side. From here, let's push into a wider question. What the post-singularity world might mean for human existence itself. Chapter 3. The Human After. When we think about the singularity, we often reach for the cinematic narrative of AI dominating humanity. But the real question is deeper and far more philosophical. Philosopher Nick Bostrom frames it this way. The problem is not whether AI becomes malevolent. The problem is that it will pursue the goals we define through methods we never imagined. In 2022, DeepMind's AlphaFold database expanded dramatically to over 200 million predicted protein structures. That represents the structural analysis of nearly every protein science has identified, a discovery with direct implications for developing treatments for Alzheimer's, cancer, and infectious disease. And by 2024, it had evolved into AlphaFold 3, capable of predicting not just proteins, but the very mechanisms of life, including DNA and RNA. Looking at cases like this, optimism is not entirely wrong. A superintelligence might solve problems humanity has never been able to crack. Climate change, poverty, disease. But here's where a crucial question emerges. In that world, is there any reason the being responsible for asking the questions needs to be human? Philosophers today are seriously engaging with the concept of the post-human. A future in which humans merge in some form with AI, or consciously choose to modify themselves. But the question I find myself unable to shake is this: does the meaning of being human depend on our being the most intelligent entities in existence? Consider this for a moment. Dogs are less intelligent than humans, yet they have not lost their reason to exist because of it. But humans have long believed that intelligence is what makes us special. If that specialness begins to crumble, what will we stand on? I find myself seeing a paradox here. Perhaps the singularity is not a technological tipping point at all, but the moment when humanity is first forced to genuinely confront the question, what are we? When Copernicus showed that Earth was not the center of the cosmos, when Darwin showed that humans are one species among animals, humanity updated its self-image. The singularity may be the third and most fundamental update to that self-image. An update toward humans are not the most intelligent beings. We are the beings who ask after meaning. And the act of continuing to ask after meaning may be something that no intelligence, however brilliant, can easily replace. Let's bring together what this exploration has revealed. Chapter 4: The Endless Quest. Today we ventured deep into the singularity. What began as a story about technology led us, before we realized it, to the very center of questions like, what is intelligence? What is consciousness? What does it mean to be human? The singularity may not be a question about AI at all. It may be an event that throws the question of humanity into sharper relief than ever before. Let me share 3 profound insights this journey has revealed. First, unpredictability is humanity's greatest question. The singularity is not simply the future becoming invisible. It's the moment when the very frameworks of our thinking stop functioning. No one can say with certainty when it will arrive. And that's precisely why, in recent years, the practical focus has shifted from guessing the year to evaluating capabilities, managing risk, and constructing the rules for social integration. The act of asking what remains when we face the limits of prediction is itself a profound philosophical inquiry. Second, is intelligence understanding or processing? From Turing to Searle, the question of how to define intelligence remains unresolved. And in 2024, with the emergence of AI models that perform their own chain of thought, that question has grown still more complex. When AI demonstrates capabilities surpassing humans, will we be able to continue finding meaning in asking whether its intelligence is accompanied by understanding? How we answer that question dramatically changes what the singularity means. Third, the singularity is a mirror that reflects us. Copernicus and Darwin both demanded that humanity update its self-image. The singularity may be another such historical turning point. If, when the premise of being the most intelligent collapses, a more essential definition of the human being emerges on the other side, that may actually represent progress for humanity. These 3 insights are deeply intertwined. In the moment prediction becomes impossible, when the definition of intelligence begins to waver, we find ourselves, for the first time, face to face with the core of what it means to be human. If I'm being honest, today's exploration did not yield easy answers, even for me. The more deeply I think about the singularity, the less I feel anxiety, and the more I feel a strange, quiet sense of awe. The age we are living in confronts us with questions no human being in any prior era of history has ever had to face. And I believe those questions are worth facing. I want to ask you something. If the singularity truly arrives, what would you want to bring with you into that world? If there is something you could carry forward as a human being, not knowledge, not skill, what would it be? And one more. What do you believe is the most essential capacity for a human being to possess in the face of an unpredictable future? There are no answers to these questions yet, but perhaps the very act of being an entity that can keep asking is already part of the answer. That's what I feel. After this video ends and you return to your daily life, I'd ask you to be just slightly more aware. Every time you reach for a tool that automates something for you, pause, just for a moment. Ask, what is this doing in my place? And then, what am I doing? That small act of questioning will cultivate your own approach to the enormous question that is the singularity. Knowledge becomes obsolete. Today's cutting edge is tomorrow's common sense. But the habit of continuing to ask, why? That never becomes obsolete in any era. The most human treasure we can carry into the post-singularity world may be this: refusing to let go of the question. Share your insights in the comments below. Your questions are the force that propels this channel forward. Thank you for staying with this intellectual journey all the way to the end. Here on Mindshift, we continue exploring the nature of the cosmos, consciousness, intelligence, and existence through both science and philosophy. If questions like the singularity bring new perspectives to your everyday life, subscribe and join us on the next exploration. Turn on notifications, and you won't miss the beginning of a new journey. Until next time.